had been to First Church performing before, even before he was as famous as he is right now. He helped us raise a total of $200,000 for multiple sclerosis. That was personally me, my daughter, her thing. So we had coffee houses here, and Matt was terrific and helpful and played. He also has an affiliation because when he first brought his daughter Gracie here, he said to my husband Andy, or he said about my husband Andy, "Is that God?" And Andy, of course, said, "Yes." In addition to that, he's also a CNK dad. So CNK is Community Nursery Kindergarten, which is the best little pre-K since 1962, right here at First Church. So, all that good stuff being said, Matt is just back with Angel, who I call Angelica because I can't get Angel in my brain, but maybe I will. They are back from Nashville, so we know there's lots of energy that comes from Nashville. Hopefully it's coming back up right here to Pembroke. So, hopefully you'll be able to tell your friends about Matt. He's toured and played at hundreds of venues. And thanks to a Mass Cultural Council grant, we have a free concert. So you can thank the Lucky Stars for just thank Matt for saying, "Yep, I'll come to First Church in Pembroke and we're going to do a show." So there you go, Mr. Matt, where are you?
Right.
Come say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I've done this stuff before. Hi, folks. Hello.
Come on up. And then.
Thank you for coming. It's great to be here. My name is Matt York. I lived in Pembroke for a bunch of years. And I was granted the Cultural Council grant that was provided for me to come here and perform concerts. And I was supposed to do it at the Arts Festival back over the summer, and there was some scheduling conflict or whatever, and it didn't come to fruition. So I needed a place to do this, and Judy and I have been friends for a long time. I'm really thankful to her for helping put this together, and I'm happy that the Patriots aren't playing right now, because when we scheduled this, I was like, oh, the Patriots will probably be like 2-9 by then, you know. Fortunately, they're doing pretty good. So we're gonna play some songs for you. This is the history of classic country music, and it's just a collection of songs by folks like Patsy Cline and Hank Williams and a bunch of folks that you'll recognize. But we're going to start off, since we're in the church. We play a lot of church music. I have a gospel album that I made last year. And this is Will the Circle Be Unbroken? I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw first car roll could have carried my mother away. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? Oh, my Lord, there's a bed on the way, and the sky, Lord, in the sky. a bed away in the sky, oh, in the sky. Oh, there's a bed away in the sky, oh, in the sky. I'm going to introduce this is my girlfriend Angel over here on fiddle, and hiding under here is my friend Nick Sano, who is, if you're hearing like percussion, like I wonder where that's coming from. It's him under there hiding, and Nick does a multi-instrumentalist, is I think what we would call him.
There's ones across Texas. I'm really listening. All right, that's a G. That's 3 chords.
We were just down in Nashville, Tennessee, and there's a song that my friend here in the front mentioned because he saw me recently, and I heard me play. This is a song called "Waltz Across Texas" by the great Texas troubadour Ernest Tubb. Since I knew we were going to play this song today, I decided to wear my Ernest Tubb hat. I'm going to be changing hats throughout different songs that we're playing. I thought so. That's not even a true thing that I just said. Here we go. This is Waltz Across Texas. If you had any question on how great a fiddle player she was, you're about to have any doubts removed right now. Here we go, Queen. When we dance together, my world's in disguise. It's a fairy tale that's come true. And with your hand in mine, dear, I can dance on and on. I'll waltz across Texas with you. Waltz across Texas with you in my arms. Waltz across Texas with you. Like a story ending, I'm lost in your charms, and I can waltz across Texas with you. Are just up and gone the moment that you come in view. With your hand in mine, dear, I could dance on and on. I'll waltz across Texas with you. Waltz across Texas with you in my arms. Waltz across Texas with you. Like a story book ending, I'm lost in your charms, and I can waltz across Texas. One more time, across Texas with you in my arms. Waltz across Texas with you. Like a story book ending, I'm lost in your charms, and I could walk across Texas with you. Thank you very much. Bet you guys know what song I'm going to play next. That's it, you nailed it. So I started doing this thing about 4 years ago, and since then I've done over 700 of these concerts, going as far north as Toronto and as far south as Nashville. I like to say that when I do these concerts, sometimes you can fit the entire audience comfortably inside my Honda Accord, and sometimes there's hundreds of people there. It varies every single time. But I love what I do. And I started doing the songs of the Highwaymen, which if you're not a country fan, or maybe you got dragged here, the Highwaymen were Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and the great Chris Christopherson. And I have done my own music all my life, and I would go down south, and I felt like my heroes were kind of being forgotten a little bit with time. Not Cash, not Willie, but you know, the Merle Haggards and the Ray Prices and Loretta Lynn's and some of those folks. And so I was a newspaper writer for a while when I was a younger person, and I decided to write a book about the Highwaymen, and people seemed to tolerate it. And they asked me to come back when I do these concerts, and so I did the songs of Johnny Cash, and I did that at the library last year, or earlier this year, I should say. And I wrote a book about Willie last year. Willie Nelson's my all-time favorite singer and songwriter, and so we'll get to him at some point. But generally, I do these songs and I try to talk a little bit about the history of them. And like that song that I just played, Waltz Across Texas, that song is probably 80, 90 years old at this point. That song is 2 chords, whole thing. The song that I played before that, Will the Circle Be Unbroken, was written in 1906. It's an old Christian hymn that's 120 years old. This song is by the late, great Hank Williams Sr., and this is Hey, Hey, Good Looking. This song's also probably 80 years old, I would say, close to that. It sounds a little something like this, unless I mess it up. Hey, good, what you got to do? How about cooking something up to eat? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think we could find some brand new recipes? I got a hot pot board and a $2 bill, and I know spots right over the hill. There's soda pop on the dancing street. If you want to have fun, we'll pull along the beat. Say, hey, good, what you got? How about cooking something up? I'm free and ready, so we can go steady. How about spending all your time with me? No more, I know I've been told. How about keeping steady on the way? I'm gonna throw my day over, and so I need one more about 10 cents. You can tell it's comfort of age. Write your name down on every page. Hey, what you got? How about cooking something up to eat? I'm gonna throw my food and so buy me one for about 10 cents out. You can tell it's coming of age. I think we're going to do another Hank Williams senior song over here. This one is called Your Cheating Heart. You know, we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame down there last week when we were down south, and you know, it's amazing that Hank Williams Sr. was such a huge part of the history of country music, and then his son Hank Jr. was obviously a very, very big star as well. His grandson Hank Jr., Hank III, I should say, is one of my favorite country musicians, and now I just saw that there's a Hank IV, so I feel like we got to slow down a little bit with the Hanks. I played with his son Sam Williams, his grandson Sam Williams, down in Baton Rouge a few years ago, and he looked exactly like his grandfather. It was wild. This is Your Cheating Heart. Your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and cry, oh, try to sleep, oh, but sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart is gonna tell on you. When tears come down like falling rain, you'll toss around, call my name, you'll walk the floor the way I do. Your cheating heart, it's gonna tell on you. Thank you very much. The next song we're going to do is a song that was made famous by the great Waylon Jennings and the great Willie Nelson. This is Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. kind of cool story. I'm a big Waylon Jennings fan. That's the W right there for Waylon. So I'm all in on Waylon. And his son, Shooter Jennings, is a music producer, and he's produced albums for Brandi Carlile and a whole bunch of other folks. He's one of the most sought-after producers in music, and pretty cool. Waylon's wife was Jessie Coulter, who was also a big star. Some of you may remember. She's still alive. And Shooter found all these old reel-to-reel tapes of songs that Waylon had never released from the 70s, and he has 3 albums worth of material, and the first album just came out a couple of weeks ago. And when I go around and I do the concerts of the Highwaymen or this type of thing, people are less familiar with Waylon Jennings, I find, than they are with a lot of the other folks' songs I play. But he had such an important role in country music, and was one of the great voices of all time. And so it's really wild to hear his voice, and I watched an interview recently with his son, who was saying it was just such a wild thing to be able to go back and hear all these audio tapes of his dad talking to his mom and talking to the producers and band members and stuff. And anyway, I'll get to Willie Nelson in a minute, but this is their song. Cowboys ain't easy to love, and they're harder to hold. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds of gold. Old style belt buckles and old faded Levi's, each night begins a new day. You don't understand me, and you don't die. You're riding just right away. Mamas, don't let your babies grow to be cows. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mamas, don't let your babies grow to be cows. Oh, they'll never stay home, well, they're always alone. Even when it's someone they love. Cowboys like smoky old woods, clear out mornings. Little warm children and girls of the night. Them that don't know him won't like him. Oh, them that do sometimes won't know how to take him. He ain't wrong, he's just different, but his pride won't let him do things to make you think he's right. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cows. Don't let them pick guitars and drive trucks. Make them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cows. Oh, they'll never stay home, well, they're always alone. Even with someone they love. When Nelson first got to Nashville, he moved there from Texas, and he was married to his first wife, and he was pretty young kids, and he was broke, and he was having a hard time getting his songs into the hands of people that could do anything with them. And he was playing songs for some friends one night, and one of the friends that happened to be there was Patsy Cline's husband. And he played Crazy, and he heard it, and he said, "We gotta go home, and we're gonna wake up Patsy and let her hear this song." And that's what they did. She didn't love it at first, but she came around to it, which was probably a good thing. They say Crazy is the most played song in the history of jukeboxes. I don't know how you'd even determine that, though, so I don't even know if that's really true. But that's what they say, folks. If you're probably thinking of me, you're like, I bet he sounds just like Patsy Cline. I do. And also, I'm going to play 2 songs in a row by her, just to prove it. Crazy. Crazy for feeling so lonely. Crazy. Crazy for feeling so blue. Love me as long as you want it. And someday leave me for somebody new. Worry. Why do I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world did I do? Crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for crying and crazy to try, and I'm crazy for love and you. Crazy for crying, crazy to try. I'm crazy for love and you. I told you I sounded just like him. So close your eyes and it's like you're cheesy. And that's a free concert, folks. It doesn't get better. So I mentioned I was going to play a second song by Patsy Cline, and that's what I'm going to do. This song was written by 2 of the great songwriters of all time, Harlan Howard and a guy by the name of Hank Cochran. And Hank Cochran is one of my favorite songwriters. And he had some success. He wrote this song, but he also wrote the song "She's Got You," which was a huge hit for Patsy. And he's wrote a number of other songs for people as well, and was also a performer himself. And he was kind of a hot shot on Music Row when Willie first arrived in Nashville, and he heard Willie's songs and immediately recognized what a talent he was, and he went to the publisher that he was working for, and he said, "Listen, you've got to sign this songwriter. He's a terrific talent." And the company said, "Listen, we don't have the budget for another songwriter right now." And Hank Cochran said, "Listen, you told me you were going to give me a $50 a week pay raise, and why don't you give that to Willie instead?" And that's exactly what they did. And right after that, Willie writes Hello Walls, he writes Nightlife, Pretty Paper for Roy Orbison, and Crazy for Patsy Cline, and it was kind of one of those deals that worked out great for all involved. And Willie never forgot that. He and Hank collaborated a number of times through the years. Hank passed away maybe 10 or 15 years ago. We just watched the documentary on him recently, and Merle Haggard called he called Hank Cochran the Hemingway of country music, and I think that's a pretty good way of describing it. And this is I Fall to Pieces. I fall to pieces each time I see you again. I fall to pieces. How can I be just your friend? You want me to act like we'll never kiss. You want me to forget, pretend that we've never met. And I've tried, well I've tried, but I haven't yet. You walk by, oh I fall to pieces. Hey, each time someone speaks your name, I fall to pieces. Time only adds to the flame. You tell me to find someone else to love, someone who will love me too, the way that you used to do. But each time I go out with someone new, you walk by, oh I fall to pieces. You walk by, oh I fall to pieces. You walk by, and I fall to pieces. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I want to give a special thank you to my friend Nick, who I see Nick like 3 times a year. He shows up at a gig that I'm playing. We don't rehearse. He just arrives. He's wonderful. He's always fun to be around. And then he plays the songs, and I'm like, listen, we should get together soon. And then 6 months pass, and then we do another gig. And he's played at the summer concert series in Pembroke with me years ago. And then the Herring Run, we did the Herring Run together. Do you remember that? Yeah. I've done something else down here too. We used to rehearse down here too. So anyways, it's a pretty unique talent to be able to just show up and boom, go with like 4 different instruments. So long live Nick. I'm gonna do a song by Chris Christopherson that was made famous by Janis Joplin. And if you thought I sounded like Patsy Cline, you know what's about to happen next, folks. You know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen. She knows. Nick probably knows too. You know, it's uncanny, is what folks say. Was it love that let poetry feeling nearly faded next time? Bobby thought the diesel down just to pull the crank. Oh, I took us all the way to I took my harpoon out of my dirty red hand. Well, I was blowing sand while Bobby sang. Then when chill Bobby sat in time, Bobby clapping hands we finally sang every song that traveled. Freedom's just another word for nothing left. Nothing left is all should go. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang. But that was good enough for me. Good enough for me, everybody. All my stuff to the California sun. Bobby shared the secrets of my soul. Standing right beside me, with everything I've done. Oh, every night she kept me from the cold. Ah, somewhere near Salinas, Lord, till I let her slip away. Looking for that home and I hope she'll find. But I trade on my tomorrows for the sake of yesterday. Holding Bobby's body next to mine. Freedom's just another word for nothing left. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang. But it was good enough. Good enough for me, everybody. Thank you. I should have dedicated that to my friend Becky. She was from New Orleans and it's her favorite song. You know, I did. I still love it. I just can't wait to get on through again. I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on through again. I'm going to places that I ain't never been. I'm seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on through again. On the road again. Like the band of gypsies when we go down the highway. With the best of us, insisting that the world keep turning out. It's on the road. I just can't wait to get on the road again. My love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again. get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Thank you very much. I'm going to do a couple of, I'm going to talk a bit about Johnny Cash and play a couple of songs by him. The first song I'm going to do is an old, I'm just going to figure it out. The first song I'm going to do is not the song that I just started to play, because I don't know how that one really goes that well. And so I'm going to do the song that I think of a lot when I play the songs of Johnny Cash, because I've been playing this song, and if you've seen me play in the last year or so, you've probably heard me play it. And it's Keep on the Sunny Side of Life. And Johnny Cash has a really beautiful version of this. And a couple of years ago, I was down in Nashville playing a gig. And I was playing at a really great listening room down there called City Winery. And it's one of the great rooms down in Nashville. And it's a big opportunity for me to go down there. And I played that city a bunch of times, but I hadn't known the songs of the Highwaymen, and that's why I was down there. And so I was petrified there was going to be like 2 people there when I went and played the gig. And it was one of the greatest nights I've ever had musically. But I didn't know that was going to happen until like 5 minutes before I walked on stage. And I got to go on the NBC morning show down there called Today in Nashville, and I had done that show before doing my own music, and I knew it was a great way to reach an audience, because one of the challenges when you're playing down there, there's obviously a lot of great options every night to see music, and you're playing to tourists, so you're targeting, it's hard to target an audience in advance. And so I went to go do the show, and the night before they said, hey, because this is network television, you can't do any of these guys' songs because you don't have written permission. And that was a plot twist that I had not anticipated. And so it was like 8 o'clock at night, and I was staying at a Motel 6, and sitting there like, I better figure out something to do. And if a song is over 100 years old, it goes into the public domain, and then anybody can do whatever they want with that song. And so the first song that I played tonight was Will the Circle Be Unbroken, and that's one of the songs that I did that day. And I went down this real rabbit hole of loving old Southern gospel music, and Angel and I are going down to Mississippi in February and recording a full album of gospel songs. But I recorded one myself this past winter that's available if you're someone that still listens to CDs. I have CDs off, and they're priced to move at $10. I think I charged less for CDs than I did in the 1990s. That may be true. Anyways, Keep on the Sunny Side has just been the song I play every night, because one of the things that I love about what I do is that we play these songs for everybody. Like I play to a lot of people that wear compression socks and knit while I play, but then right? But then I play to a lot of their grandkids on the weekend as well at bars and honky tonks, and it's amazing to me how this song works regardless of the audience. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's been one of my favorite songs to play. There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, sunny side we also may meet. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will hit us every day, oh, it will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. A spring with a song for each day. Though the moment may be cloudy or fair, care. Let us trust our Savior away to get everyone in His care. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side. It will help us every day, oh, it will brighten all. Keep on the sunny side of life. On the storm and its fury broke today, Russian ropes that I cherish so deep. Storms and clouds will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side. It will help us every day, oh, it will brighten our way. If we keep on the sunny side of life. One more time. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side. It will help us every day, oh, it will brighten our way. Keep on the sunny side of life. We'll keep on the sunny side of life. We'll keep on the sunny side of life. Sing it.
I didn't do it. Yeah, you know, I haven't done this once. It's working? This is something.
I think we're just gonna go with it, because it's probably just interference from something over here. But I don't know what it is. But it's gonna be fun. Once I start making noise, you know, over here, and then, here we go. I keep a close watch on this heart. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the time flies. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone each day. Oh, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you. Because you're mine, I walk the line. It sure is not as dark and days light. I keep you on my mind both day and night. Oh, happiness I know proves that it's right. Because you're mine, I walk the line. You've got a way to keep me on your side. You give me cause for love that I can't hide. For you I know I'd even try to turn the tide. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I keep a close watch on this hard life. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the time to find. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Because you're mine, I walk the lie. Because you're mine, I won't lie. Because you're mine, I won't lie. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to do a couple more songs for you. And then Jimmy's going to come up and she's going to say thank you for coming. And then she's going to encourage us to play another song. You at that point have the option of just sprinting right out of here. This is a free concert. You're under absolutely no obligation. You put in your time. But you decide what you want to do. You know, I'm not going to think less of you one way or the other. We're just very appreciative that anybody comes and shows up. And so thank you. We're going to do a song, and I haven't decided which one, so I'm just going to keep talking for a second about it, and then I will. The next song that we're going to do is a song. Oh, you want to do that one? The next song we're going to do is a song called Poncho and Lefty, and it's a song that was written by Townes Van Zandt and was made famous by the great Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson, and it's one of the great songs of all time, and I'm not sure you can write better lyrics than the lyrics to this song. And Merle Haggard, I like to talk a little bit about when I do these concerts because he's a really interesting story. And if you've seen me do this, I may have. I feel bad for my friend Darlene back there. She's seen me like 6 or 7 times, so she knows all these stories inside and out. But Merle Haggard spent a bunch of his younger years in juvenile lockups and then adult prisons for a variety of crimes. He wasn't a violent guy, particularly. He wasn't a drug addict. He was the 14-year-old kid that would steal your car and crash into a tree and get sent to a juvenile lockup and break out of there and disappear. And he was just trouble. And when he was 21 years old, he was in San Quentin prison, and Johnny Cash came and performed a concert there. And Merle was already playing guitar and singing, but he saw Cash, and he said, I think when I get out of here, I'll just go become Johnny Cash. That seems to be a good job. And so that's what he did. Merle Haggard would go on to have over 30 number 1 hits on the country charts. He had about twice as many number 1 hits as Johnny Cash ended up having. And, they call him the poet of the working man. And he was one of the greats, for sure. And he just was one of Willie's best friends. And this song, to me, is just a perfect song. And so I hope you enjoy it. Angel really loves it. This is her, this might be your favorite one that we do. Yeah, it's help me make it through the night also on the Angel list. Here we go, Queen, you ready? Living on the road, my friends, it's gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, with heart's kerosene. You are now mama's only boy, but her favorite one it seems. She began to cry when he said goodbye. Second to your dreams. Poncho was a bandit horse, rode a horse fast as polished steel, wore his guns outside his pants, were all beyond his score. Poncho and his catch, on the deserts down Mexico. Nobody ever died. Ah, that's the way it goes. They only let him slip away. I suppose. Take it away, Queen. Saying how Pacho lived is living in a cheap hotel. Desert's quiet, Cleveland's cold, so the story ends where it told. Pacho needs your prayers, it's true. Save a few more left it too. He only did what he had to do. Now it's growing old. All the better I'll say, they could have had him any day. They only let him go so long. I suppose you're brave, better I'll say. They could have had him any day. They only let him go so long. I suppose. Alright, this is kind of our last song. You'll know this song, I promise you. You're gonna know this song. The other night here, I lay sick. I think I had to leave you in my house. When I walked here, well, I was gone. So I found my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, I want the sunshine. Be happy, it's got great. You'll never know here how much I love you. Just don't take my sunshine away. I always look, oh, and you have nothing else to come from me. Now you left me to find another. You shattered all of my dreams. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when the skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Just don't take my sunshine away. Till the night is, oh, I listen. I think I have you in my arms. When I walk near, well, I sunshine away. It's gonna take my sunshine away. It's gonna take my sunshine away. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. When this life is over, that? Is that what you would like to know?
I'm sorry, I'm putting him on the spot, but.
We can do that. Yeah, just. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. We're gonna do I'll fly away, and then we're gonna fly away after. This sounds like this. One second, folks. I just gotta find it because I forget what chord it starts on. We're gonna be out in the front area. You can get like brownies, you can get pies, you can get like scarves. That's the thing about when you come to one of these concerts sometimes. You just don't know what you can walk out with. You know, people love the mystery of it. Angela already bought 2 scarves, I believe. Is that true? I believe you did. So, you know, that's what we do here. We're getting there. I promise. All right. Some bright morning when this life is over, I'm to a land where joy will never end. I'll fly away. When I die, bye-bye. Fly away. Just a few weary days and I'm like to a land where joy will never end. I'll fly away. When I die and bye-bye, I'll fly away. Just a few weary days and I'm like to a land where joy will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. When I die and bye-bye, I'll fly away. When I die Well done, everybody. Thank you, everybody.